Recording. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Love Seat. Dana Sardano, Steffi Starr, back with you again. So grateful you're here, and we are grateful to be here. Just a brief introduction if you haven't seen any of our other videos. I am a spirit plant facilitator. I assist people through the plant world with their journeys into the aspects of self and our mind that we don't necessarily have access to with our rational thinking mind. That's what I do. And Dana?
Hi, I'm Dana Sardano. I am owner of Ubuntu Fish Gallery, where we sit right now, 508 Southeast Osceola Street in Stewart, Florida.
Represent.
And I'm actually a career educator turned artist a little bit later in life. And we're basically here just living our lives, doing our thing, and sharing it with the world. So
Yeah.
to you, Miss Steffi.
So what we do generally is we're not here to teach you anything. We're not here to explain anything. More than anything, there's a remembrance that goes on when we observe our experience in other people. I see people as the mirror. So every circumstance, everything, every person is just me showing myself what works, what doesn't, and then making the decision to change what needs to be changed and hang on to what needs to be held on to. So Dana this week actually has an issue that she'd like to talk about, so I'm going to hand it over to her.
Didn't you want to?
No.
You don't
No,
wanna
the
piggyback
update should be
cupcakes?
separate. No,
Oh,
that's like
okay.
a 5-minute
Oh,
separate
okay. Oh.
6 cupcake update coming in another video. But
Coming in hot.
so today's
Okay.
all about
It's
you.
all about
let's
me.
keep it
Dana
where
Day.
you are. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to share an experience that happened yesterday that was really, it was subtle, but it was something that kind of got me thinking about how we handle certain things in our lives based on how we're told we're supposed to handle these things. So as I've already made clear, I own this business, and it's not just about the artwork. We do a lot of workshops. We have services. We have spiritual readings, or we have workshops about everything from Energy 101 to know your chakras, to paint your joy, and things like that. So part of my job is to make the schedules, whatever, everything, everything.
One woman band.
Oh, yeah.
Been there, done that.
So I do all of that. So I was trying to plan with another woman, not as a part of this business. We were teaming up and we were creating a psychic fair that was supposed to happen in a couple of weeks. And the psychic fair we wanted to do something really cool. We wanted to have, about 5-6 readers. I think 5. We had 5 readers. We were going to have like a meet and greet in the first hour, and just so you could meet your readers, so you could trust and see who you connect with. And we were going to do raffles and snacks and foods. Like, I do nothing small. So this is what we were going to do. I, again, a little bit type A, immediately was doing spotlights on the readers. I was, getting their bios and their pictures, putting them on the website, putting them all over social media, advertising in the Natural Awakenings magazine, and doing all of this stuff to prepare. But what I had noticed in the last, say, 4 or 5 days, it was very, very recent, but it was recent. A little bit of, this isn't fun for me. Or a little bit of a resistance. Little things like trying to boost it on Facebook and it wouldn't let me boost. Or trying to connect with the reader just to get a picture for her bio and her not getting back to me. Doing everything that I was doing, I was just meeting a little bit of resistance. And with each meeting of the resistance, I had a little bit of feeling, this isn't so much fun anymore. And if you saw our last video, the famous 6 cupcake video, I was talking about how we have that ooh, we get excited and we go in a direction, and that ooh, that doesn't feel good. And I was sensing these little things. And then yesterday, and I had this dream, and it was kind of prophetic, and I woke up and I was like, I wonder what that means. And then all of a sudden it came to me. And I canceled the psychic fair. And people had been contacting me, and people who were involved in the psychic fair, and being like, oh my God, what happened? Because everybody expects drama, right? Oh my God, what happened? And all I could say was, just didn't feel right. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because in the last 2 months, there's been some changes here. and we had in January we were supposed to have this author come, and he was pretty well known, and he got very sick, and he was traveling from up north, and he couldn't come, and I had to cancel it. So it was a big thing that I promoted, again, paid for advertising, etc., and had to cancel it. And then there was another thing Anne Marie was supposed to do. They were supposed to do this beautiful channeling event, and one of the women involved, her husband, had some serious health issues, and she couldn't come down. She was coming down from Canada, and we had to cancel it. And then I recently had a shift in people who were involved in the shop, and they had a few workshops on the schedule, and they chose a different path, and I had to take them off the schedule. So when I made the decision to cancel this psychic fair, it came with a lot of, oh my God, I'm going to look like a flake. Oh my God, people are going to be like, is there something wrong with the business? And there's going to be these perceptions from other, right? And but I'll tell you something. I am in such a place of self-confidence that I understood that was a potential, but it didn't hinder my decision. I was like, no.
Sway you.
I was actually on the phone with somebody when I made that. I'm like, I'm canceling this thing, and was on my technology, whatever my devices, because I'm old and I don't know how to refer to these things. And yeah, right. And I was canceling and contacting people like it just wasn't an instant, and it was such a beautiful place to be. And when I made the decision, I didn't even realize the heaviness I had around it. I didn't even realize how that just faded away. And I was like, oh my God, sometimes we don't even know what the problem is until we've solved the problem. And we're like, oh, that was the problem. Yeah. So it was a really, really profound thing. And again, I did get the backlash. Oh my God, what happened? Oh my God, is everything okay? And I stood in my comfort and in my power, I guess. And it was like, didn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. They're not going to do it, right?
Sister girl.
Right? So now I want to share something on a little bit of a deeper level because it kind of triggered this memory. And I think that even though what I just told you was important, but it was light, I had an experience a few years ago. Now, it's important. All right, I'm going to try to give you a backstory without giving you, every single detail on what I had for breakfast, because I want to keep your focus and keep mine. But the long and the short of it is I was the kid in my family. I was the one that, there's always the whipping boy or the black sheep or the one that nobody really cares for. And I was that one. And I grew up believing that I was that. And I have a brother who, his interaction with me was acrimonious at best. It was clear he didn't care for me. Everybody knew he didn't care for me. And he was actually a bit abusive to me and was allowed to be because that was my role and I deserved it, right? This is my experience, my role in my family growing up. I moved at a very young age. I moved at 18. Long story short, I'm in my early 40s. I finally have some iota of what my self-worth is. Meet my husband, get married. We're only married 6 years this June. So do the math. I was probably 42. Yeah, something like that. Okay. When I met him and he saw me for who I was and I saw me for who I was, I rocked the boat in my role in my family structure. My mother lost her shit. My brother lost his shit. And everybody who was involved in that family, oh my God, who does Dana think she is? It turned out right before I got married, this huge rift. And again, these are the details I'm not going to bore you with, but this huge rift. My brother was given permission to act out. It was disgusting. My mother acted out. She created, I call it Chernobyl. She created World War III. It was very, very ugly. I made a choice when that happened to allow, because it happened naturally, but allow that severed tie to remain. Because they came back, after the dust settled, they came back for more fights, and I was like, no, this relationship is over. This is who I am. This is what I deserve. If you can't respect these new boundaries, the new Dana boundaries, then this relationship, it no longer serves me. This relationship is no longer going to happen. That was in 2014. And there was a couple little, to throw a stone to see if they could get me to bite. And I was like, I'm not biting. And then they go away again. And this one, so it's 2014. In around May, June 2017, I got a text from my brother, who never contacts me. We never speak unless my mother lets him off the chain that he can attack me with a nasty email. But there's no interaction. I get a text from my brother Your mother is full of cancer. Before she dies, you might want to come see her. And I remember, first of all, feeling somebody punch me in the stomach, because even his choice of words was very aggressive and ugly,
Sure.
right? Your mother
Yes.
is full of cancer. Yeah. You, the sucky daughter, maybe you want to, like, whatever.
Right.
So, and the narrative, their narrative was, I was keeping my children from their grandma, whatever it was to make me, victim victor, to make me look, well, not even victim victor.
No, to keep beating you up without you even needing to be in the room.
Right? So, and I had done a lot of work. I did a lot of work to heal from it. I did a lot of work to understand my self-worth. I did a lot of work to really see myself for who I was and not the role that was created for me and that I grew up with, and the patterns that I developed based on that belief of myself, blah, blah. That's, again, for another day. But when I got that text, I had to make a decision. And the decision was, what is best for me, for my emotional health, for my family's emotional health? Because when mommy's a mess, everybody's a mess, right? What's best, or what am I supposed to do? What does the good daughter do? What is the right thing to do? The right thing to do. And I had to make that decision. And I'll tell you, and I don't know if it's because of all the work that I've done, but I knew the right answer immediately. My right answer. Again, everybody, and as I'm saying this, there are people going to be watching this going, that's fucked up, right? Ooh, that's my first F-bomb on the show. Yeah. I know, I'm so proud. But I made the decision, and I remember telling my husband about it, and he was trying to be careful not to tell me what to do, because he knows how that goes. But he was freaking out, wondering what I was going to do. And I was like, I'm not going. I'm not reaching out. I'm not going to do this. I am being invited into a hornet's nest. Yeah. All of these people, my mother's husband, again, my brother, whoever else was involved, they are all were functioning, many of them, through their dysfunction, through their pain bodies, right? And they're now looking for somebody to put their pain onto, to put their anger onto. And they're a new host. Oh my God, brilliant. And I was being invited into this. And I made the decision that not only was I not going to go to the deathbed, but I was not going to even respond. Because even by responding, I'm asking for ugliness, right? And there was so much that I had to work through mentally and emotionally, because again, what daughter does that, right? Who does that? Who doesn't go see their mother? But I really, when I sat on it, I really drew the conclusion that I reconciled everything I needed to reconcile with my mother when that relationship severed a few years prior. And I didn't have any regrets, and I didn't have any apologies, so to speak. So if my mother had something to reconcile, truly reconcile, she would have contacted me to do so. Right. And instead, she let, we call my, well, whatever, I'm not going to get to what I was calling my brother at the time, but she allowed him off the chain too, and it was really, I thought, probably one of the most profound and grown up and self-loving, right? And self-serving, self-care.
Okay.
We're back.
We're back. I don't know what that was.
Yeah. Okay. So this is part 2 in the midst of my powerful statement. But the long and the short of it is The long and the short of it is, I had to make a decision of what's more important: what the world thinks of me, what the critics have to say, or truly what is best and what's right by me. And what was best for me, my emotional well-being, and my family was to protect that I've worked so hard to create and to cultivate. And this whole psychic fair, if you saw part 1.
Yeah, funny. That's funny.
Yeah, too. Yeah, but this whole psychic fair thing, and I've seen this as I began to run a business, because now I'm more in a public eye. I've seen this opportunity for how am I going to look versus what do I know is best. Because at the end of the day, we all know what's best based on our, and I always do here, the solar plexus, based on our emotional guidance system. When you get the you must, for your best interest, honor that. And I did honor that, and I was better for it, and I stand by it. I mean, 10 years from now, you could ask me, do you feel guilt? Oh, the most important part. If I made the decision not to go visit my mother on her deathbed and walk into that hornet's nest, but yet carried the guilt for it, well, what's the point of making that powerful decision?
Right.
If you're going to make that powerful decision, you stand by it and you own it. And I never felt guilty for a day. Actually, as time progresses and I learn more about myself and life, I have pride in that. Like, look, that's a big one. That was hard to do, and I did it because I knew it was best for me and for the people that I hold dear. And I thought it was important to share that. And again, thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience.
That's beautiful. No patience. That's astounding. For me, I just want to touch on part of the breakdown of which direction is best, which direction serves me best. And I love using that word because I've gotten away from right and wrong.
Right and wrong, or
and
should.
so you were like, whatever serves me, and that's why I giggled. I knew what you meant, but for me, there's no right and there's no wrong. Should not exist in the English language because we have our wants and our needs. Shoulds jack us up left and right. When I am determining what serves me versus what doesn't, part of that is, where will guilt show up? Will guilt show up? And am I willing to bear guilt if it is to show up? And that's actually part of determining the direction for me in which to go. Because I want to say this, I have graduated from the labels. So your mother that's a word that when you look it up in the dictionary says, has a child, birthed a child, is responsible for the rearing of a child. The word mother places no value, places no expectation except in the mind of the person.
We're conditioned.
Right?
That's your mother.
The mind of the person who is using the word. There is all this expectation, attachment, and judgment around the word that does not exist in and of the word itself. It's why judgment, it's why labels, it's why our who, at the end of the day, doesn't work. I'm a what? I am an energetic entity. I am infinite. I am immovable. I am unshakable, like the trunk of a tree. All of the labels, nouns, and adjectives that you want to put on top of that what really
and the emotion attached to it. Don't forget the emotion
it's
attached
all
to it.
temporal. It's all on its way out. Like the smartest minds of our species have asked for millennia, who are we? Usually followed by why are we here? But we're asking the wrong question because our who is continually in flux. When my mother died, I wasn't a daughter anymore. When my husbands in my marriage ended and I was divorced, I wasn't a wife anymore. Like, if you want to figure out who you are with all these labels, nouns, and adjectives, you're in for a bumpy ride because it's all always changing. It's all always in flux.
Moment to moment.
Moment to moment. And in one moment, you can have an attachment to one of those labels, nouns, or adjectives that 10 minutes later has absolutely vacated the building. And you're like, how did I ever think that that was even appropriate? So,
and then we have to adjust to our new identity, and there's the whole grieving thing.
Piggybacking on what you did, I was the child who was expendable. At the age of 18, my mother looked at me and said, based on the life I lived at the time, do not allow your shadow to fall on our doorstep. And I love you, Mom. And I am sharing this as a help, not to bash you. My mother's an amazing human being, but she had this very strong conviction about how I should be, how life should be. And because I could not do that, I was excommunicated across the board from the entirety of my family. Didn't go to funerals when grandparents died, was told, don't invite your sister to your wedding, to both of my brothers, or I won't show up. That was my mother's dictate.
I had similar,
But in the end, when I let go of that idea that, well, as a mother, you should, and as a mother, you owe me, and because you birthed me, when I let go of all that, and I said, okay, I'm a spiritual entity here having an experience, and if that's true for me, that's true for this woman, Jay, who birthed me. And beyond that owes me nothing, because in the absence of the adjective, in the absence of the judgment around the label mother, I saw her as a person, and she became my sister. So when my mother was riddled with cancer, I got to go. I got to hold her hand. I was the only one there at the end. I held her hand as she left this planet, not as my mother, as my sister, as an infinite being here having her very own experience to which I had no connection at the end of the day. It didn't matter how she lived. She owed me nothing. And the beauty of that is I owed her nothing. So it all came from love at the end.
And stop recording.
And it's so I had just finished saying, sorry for the break, we're having some technical difficulties. Yeah, I had just finished saying that the labels get in the way of our ability to simply see people where they're at, accept them for who they are, and release ourselves from the pain of our expectation based on those labels. So that was my gift, was realizing my mom was a person here to have her experience, and removing the label mother made her my sister. And we all have that option. Everybody can do that. You can do that with your husband. You can do that with your children. You can do that with your employer. It actually works. The labels don't serve us after a certain point. They're good descriptors, but that's about it. So.
Yeah, and it leads to, and I'm not going to get into it in this video, but we could do a whole nother video on this idea of what the societal conditioning. We don't realize how conditioned we are. Even when we're aware of it, we're still very much conditioned. And when we could peel back that societal conditioning and peel back the understanding that there's always a victim and a victor, and you're either one or the other, and when we could let go of all of that, you become very objective, and it becomes much easier. And I'm just going to leave that as a nice segue for potentially maybe the next video or video to come. Yeah. But with that said, I want to thank everybody for coming. Sorry about the interruption in videos, but just know they're coming in a part 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I wanted to go, and I did. And because we have a few seconds left, I just said,
oh yeah, she dressed weather appropriate today.
Yeah, it's like 65 degrees, and I'm like Nanook from the north. Anyway, with that said, thank you, Stephi, you're the best.
I love you, Dana, and we love you. Thanks for being here, as always, watching us do what we do, and any part of it that was helpful, we're so grateful. So enjoy your day. Bye.
Boo-bye.